Yeah, so I guess Matt and I are here just to answer questions anybody might have about like it's not working right for me. Um, and or I don't know exactly what to do at this step, or you know, I've watched the video and read the slide deck and something doesn't make sense. There's a YouTube video up on the MHCP website where I go through, how to do GitHub and some like hints on how to format your docs. So I recommend going and watching that video. And in the forum, there's actually a PDF here of that presentation. So if you want to go and download that presentation and look through it, it's got some interesting things in here about how to set up your GitHub and how to add docs and how to do Markdown and pull requests and such. And then finally, there is this document template that's over in the MHCP creators GitHub, not the MHCP Programs. MHCP Programs is where you submit your entry. MHCP creators is our sort of longer lived repo for documentation. And this is an example Markdown file with a bunch of documentation comments in it about stuff about how to do different kinds of Markdown in your GitHub. So just wanted to mention that these, four resources, and this is the right location exist. So if you are curious, you can go and take a look at those. So when you fork the MHCP programs repo, it'll be forked into your own repo. You can call that whatever you want, but just make sure that you are forking from the MHCP programs world's documentation repo into your own accounts repo. Do your work there, submit there. I would recommend making a branch in your repo to do your work in a branch, and then submit to your branch, and then create a PR pull request from your branch in your repo back into the main branch of the MHCP Programs World Creators repo, World Documentation repo. The preferences for image organization, Matt. I have preferences.
Yeah, the preference is having your image folder close to your documents. And so if you can organize it like that, then that would be ideal. I know it's not as clear it's not clear at all in the README file explaining how to like create the documentation. But yeah, putting those files in there with your commits, that should be good to go. If we run into any issues with maybe your image file is too large or anything like that, we'll be scanning that as we're reviewing the entries. So be on the lookout for that. If you can do some early optimizations, just be sure you're choosing the lower resolutions, lower quality image for the sake of making the repository not super bloated with images. That would be super helpful on our end. So anything you can do on that front, super appreciate it. Yeah, as far as like how to include the images, just refer to Markdown guides around that. I'll link one out here. You can
I
also
would
take a
recommend
look at
putting them in a
existing.
subdirectory next to your document, probably with a little your document name prefix _ images, and then just sticking them in a little subdirectory next to your next to your Markdown file, just to avoid any chance that your naming is going to collide with somebody else's images that they might be uploading that would be going into the documents. There is like a shared images folder at the top level, but my concern is that if everybody checks their images into there, there's going to eventually be a naming collision because someone's going to call it like example.png or something like that, and that's when people are going to collide. Anyway, my personal preference, though, it's not clearly called out. There might be some requests to reorganize things a little bit, especially if you have a winning entry.
I shared a link in the chat for there's a section in the GitHub official documentation for the they're getting started with Markdown. There's a section on images. You can refer to that. Additionally, you can go and look at some of the other documentation that already exists, like for example on the main MHCP creators world documents repo, right? We've used images on some of the files there, so it's basically the same thing. That that is the places you can look if you're unsure as to how to actually get the image on the document.
So preference for image size, not gigantic. I mean, as I think as Matt alluded to, all this has to go into one repo, and so try not to check in like 20 megabyte images or anything like that. That would be undesired. Try to make them the resolution for the size they're going to be displayed at. So like, for instance, don't make a really super high resolution image and then shrink it down really small on your page. Like that's just not an efficient use of memory. Instead, try to, if it's going to be, this big on your page, like try to make an image that's about that big native resolution so that there's not wasted space in the repo. Obviously, don't make things purposefully low res and thus hard to read. Make sure that they're legible, but don't make them higher res than they need to be. Attaching the video. Videos should not be checked in to GitHub. Those should go to like YouTube or something like that, and then be linked with a URL.
It'll be the you can use the iframe from the share section of the YouTube video. Just know that when you preview it, you won't see it. That's not that's not going to affect your entry at all. Yeah, but just be aware that the iframe won't be visible until it's like promoted to the actual documentation site. So that might make, I guess, testing it, whether how big it is or anything like that, might make that a little tricky. But that's that's okay. That part can be. Don't feel like not getting the right size of your video on your document is going to cost you the competition. Definitely, the judges are going to be looking for content, not formatting issues. Well, if it's like not minor formatting issues. I'm sure major formatting issues do come into play. So, so that all lends to the flow of readability. Ideally, the goal is to have great accessible content, right? That feels good to read and feels, motivating to go and apply your knowledge. So, be aware of that aspects in your formatting.
There is on the top page of the repo for the competition, there is a README file, and one of the things it does have in there is the linking to YouTube videos section about how to do that.
On that note of sort of like where to start, if you haven't already watched the video of that's in the README file that Richard linked there, it's at the very top of it. If you haven't watched that video where I walk through adding a file, to the documentation, highly recommend it. Check out how easy it is to do, and if your one blocker is you're worried how difficult it will be to upload, that video should put that at ease, and you should be able to focus all your attention on making a great document based on those that criteria that's listed on the on the mini challenges website.
Is the document guiding the creator step by step to create complete action X? I believe they are to provide knowledge fill gaps, how-to guides, best practices, and task-based tutorials. But I mean, if you have like a best practices or a how-to guide or something, and it's not a task-based tutorial, I think that's still in the context of the tutorial mini challenge. They're just looking for good content that tells people how to use a particular aspect of the system. Like you had like a deep dive into like how monetization works, or a deep dive into how lighting works or something like that, which is not necessarily a step-by-step thing, but more, general purpose knowledge about lighting or about how to use monetization or something. Things I think that would be fine, at least from my reading of the rules here. Do you have any other thoughts on that, Tellous?
That's exactly like you nailed it on the head. That's well said.
It's a guide to video capturing, yeah. It's sort of like a marketing kind of thing.
Definitely like
Oh,
the
wow.
often unspoken side of things, right? Is like there's a world to monetization that exists sort of outside of the
I mean, yeah, I mean,
shop gizmo.
monetization, for people who are in MHCP, like there's the time spent bonuses and stuff like that. And so you could probably, spin it as like, and part of monetization is like improving your time spent. And, this is a good way to like for people and bring them to the world. And so this is how you need to like shoot your videos and do your Instagram posts and whatever to get people to come in.
Is anybody so stuck on not knowing how to add documentation to the GitHub that they want me to like demonstrate? So what I wanted to do is go to the world creators document. Right here is that video referenced earlier. If I'm not mistaken, you shared that, Richard, or
I thought you shared your video. I thought I shared my video.
resharing again. Anyways, if you missed it earlier, this video here helps with understanding how you can add files to the GitHub. So that's I'll do a sort of like abridged, quick version of it all. Um, Basically, we'll talk about the.
Is the video in here anymore on this page?
Then it's not here, but when I go to the world's documentation, like
Yeah, I
where
think that I think they might have edited it out of the competition repo or something.
that's fair.
Is that
Well,
I don't think I see it there anymore. It was at the top originally.
right. But if you ever lose it and you know where the MHCP creators world documentation is, that's just going to be right there at the top. So if you are not if you don't have the link, I'm going to share it one more time in the chat.
Yeah,
That is the official repository for the competition entries, right?
yeah,
So
and that's the video that you were looking for. I just dropped it in. Oh, did you drop it in the chat already? You did.
yeah,
All right,
I
thanks,
just
buddy.
said cool. We're making sure y'all got those links. So
Yeah, so
let's
there's 2 videos and a PDF that you can look at. That's linked in the chat here for how to do GitHub stuff.
So there's kind of like three phases to this, which is well it's more like 4. The first part is make sure you have your GitHub account. The second part would be forking the repository. The third part is adding your files and making your changes. And the final part is sending your pull request. Each of those parts is covered in that YouTube video. So if you don't get it now, you'll have that YouTube video to reference, and you can jump around and see any parts that that you want to go over again. So
I
GitHub
just want to add
account.
one thing though, like if you're going to submit multiple tutorial entries, I would put each of them in a separate branch as well.
Excellent. So the very simple, the GitHub account, you go to github.com, you create a new account. It's easy, it's fast, it's free. Once you have your account, you can go to the MHCP Programs World Documentation Repository. And from here, you can click this fork button right here, right? So this, when you hover over, it says fork your own copy of MHCP Programs World Documentation. So what that's going to do is creates literally a copy of that code, or I say code, of the documents into your account. So you have a mirror image of that documentation, but yours, you're allowed to make all your changes to, and it doesn't affect the main one until the next phase, right? So that will be the pull request phase of things. So the fork here, I already currently have a fork on this account, so I'm just going to go straight to it. We're going to go into, not creators, but MHCP Programs here. I'm going to press fork. And here I can see the repository ready to be created. I'm going to
You
press
can
create.
change that name if you wanted to at that point, but not necessary.
Agreed. Okay. Now that I'm in here, I can see the instructions on how to add files. So if I just follow that step by step, I can, you can know exactly how to make your submissions, right? So let's say I have a document on performance. I can go into docs, performance, add file, create new file. Right. In here, this might be called Perfetto how to and blah blah. I'll write my document. If I'm using Markdown, I can preview and see the formatting that I intended. From here, I'll press commit changes when I'm ready to make my save my changes, right? Here's a commit message. I can state that there's the document. It's this, and I can add the actually, Richard, I wanted to ask you about this. For the DCO stuff. Everybody else, ignore this. For the DCO stuff, can I add that here? Like is that what we're
Sign off? Yeah,
the
I
sign
think
off?
you can put it there. The DCO thing is going to be a little bit of a shame to get people to
I think we'll
that
just
stuff
ignore
somewhere.
that. Yeah, we'll ignore that because that's a little out of the ordinary. So right
I
here,
believe that if you do the submissions from and within GitHub, like the DCO is it
included.
automatic or something maybe?
Okay, and just to
I'm not sure.
make
Validated.
sure everybody understands what we're talking about here. Basically, we have some like checks that occur when you go to like submit your competition entry. And so we don't want to worry anybody with like it showing like big red X saying that you didn't do some step regarding the open source policies of GitHub. Will you should be good to go as as long as you're committing through here, right? If you're not committing through here, you're using more advanced Git features, then just know that you should be including a signed off commit as part of your commits. if you're not doing advanced Git pushes, then nothing to worry about, right? This is as simple as it gets, right? I push the big green commit button, I press commit changes, and now my copy of the repository contains those changes, that document that I wanted to submit, right? From either that last page or the home page, wherever you are, you should see this notification here, this little banner here saying that your branch is one commit ahead. It might say, if you've done multiple commits, it'll say a different amount. From here, what you can do is press contribute, right? So whether you're pressing it here or you're on the home page of the repo and you're pressing it here, or you went straight to the pull request tab, you can create it from there. Basically, the pull request is how you get your changes from your copy to the MHCP competition repo, right? So let's press open pull request. And we'll see what it has by default, right? So we've got this base repository, which is where I want to send my code to. Right here, I can verify it's the MHCP Programs repo. And then here it's coming from mine. In my case, I didn't create a different branch. That's okay. If you do create a branch, just make sure you've selected that branch when you are on this page, right? If it doesn't automatically do it, which oftentimes when you press that contribute button, it does. Usually you only have to worry about doing it manually if you went through the pull request and did a new pull request through there. This tab is just a different view, different workflow. But if you press contribute, more often than not, you're going to have this already pre-selected in the way that works for you. So
the important thing is to make sure that the thing on the left there is MHCP Programs real documentation, and that the base's main branch is
right.
main on that side.
The second most important part to do is to check that your changes are actually down at the bottom of the page. If you miss this step here and you went ahead and created the pull request, when it's created, you will see this page here, which is like, okay, you've submitted your request. The people who are judging these competition entries, they see that you have these changes that you're trying to make. The thing that you're going to want to do as just some like final checks, make sure that all your T's are crossed and I's are dotted, is to check this files change tab right here. So you click that files changed and you can see the actual file that you're trying to send over right there, right? You shouldn't have a bunch of random files. You should have the exact files that you expect to be going, and it should show, the content that you wrote. It shouldn't show a bunch of, random like numbers or anything like that. If that's the case, I recommend taking it from the, going back, starting from making your commits, go, as long as you followed all the steps, you shouldn't be seeing anything crazy. This is more of a case for like anybody who's doing like advanced Git stuff. If just sort of reminding those folks to be diligent about checking that you aren't submitting any artifacts that you didn't mean to send in your pull request. It should be a simple files. In the case of images, there's an image folder with your images there. Double checking their file sizes. I believe you can even see that from there. So once you're here, that's it, right? It's in the hands of the judges and anybody who's watching to make sure that you don't have any anomalies in your request. If you end up getting comments right from me or Shards or other meta folks, you'll see them on this page, right? If you ever need to come back to this page, you can see that pull request here. Here I'm on the MHCP Programs World Documentation. You can see other things that people have submitted, right? You see, so you'll see that comments have been submitted there, and you'll want to go and address those comments if you see them. I'm gonna actually cancel mine. You don't do this. when you create your pull request, I'm just canceling it now because that's not my submission. I don't actually want to submit that. Um, so yeah, so that's all it takes, right? Go add your files, commit your changes, create your pull requests. The end. Pretty simple, right? Y'all are gonna get some documents in there.
Just to like reiterate, there's some slides that go along with the video I posted, which has, you know, sort of screenshots of like what the GitHub looks like at the different points, like click on that button, click on that button, make sure how to make your pull requests, what to check to make sure they're correct. When you're looking at this page here where you're comparing the changes for the pull request, make sure that these things are correct, that this base repository is MHCP Programs, world is documentation, base main. So they do have some drop downs here, and there is some ability to like finesse these a little bit, and it might be possible, but I'm not certain, to like select the correct repo, but like make sure you're sending it to the right repo. The MHCP Programs are the key one.
Yeah, and if you haven't made any changes uh to the programs or sorry, to the creator version of that repo, uh you can just remove it from your repository like you saw me do through the settings of that repository. You just click settings and then go and delete it. Just make, of course, for you, it'll only be yours that you'll have the access to delete, right? But uh, the thing you can do if you have made changes is you can download that repository, your local, or sorry, the one that's associated to your account. You can download the repository as a zip file and extract that zip somewhere where you can pull out the files that you have changed. Then you can go about removing that other forked repo, trying the doing the fork again if it if you feel more comfortable just knowing that you forked from the right place as opposed to having to finagle the pull request around. So try that, and yeah, it should be back on track. Good luck to everybody on your submission entries. Know that your contributions help everybody learn more, and we also something you might not think about often is that by sharing the ways that you learn, sometimes there's just new perspectives and things that people weren't thinking about. Us as mentors, as we're reading through those documents, we'll learn other ways that people like to learn and share information. So super helpful, um, super grateful for anything that gets shared. And yeah, good luck to everybody in their competition entries.